Hey, it's your girl Cece, and it's my pleasure to welcome you back to beautiful Barbados for another exciting week of sporting action. This time we're taking to the sea for Sailing Week. Fun fact for you, the first documented Round Barbados race was actually recorded back in 1936. Now these guys took to the ocean for bragging rights and a very small prize, but in essence that was the origin of Sailing Week.
Well, Cece, I heard you talking about that Round Barbados race and that Mount Gay Round Barbados race. In fact, in previous years, I've seen up to 60 top-class sailboats being involved. But then COVID happened and the numbers kind of dwindled. But hey, guess what? In 2024, those numbers are on the up. They're on the build.
They're definitely on the build. Now, we're talking about Sailing Week because that Round Barbados race is only one exciting, fun activity happening. It's a week of action.
Yeah, a jam-packed week of action. There are also the coastal races which take us along Needham's Point and actually along this very coast here, this Richard Haynes Boardwalk. There's the RC model boat races as well happening at Golden Pond. And then, hey, my favorite, there's going to be some kite surfing. Jam-packed action.
Indeed. So Joel is here, Cece's here, you're here. We're even going to bring some friends along. Chelsea's going to join us for a week of action as well. So make sure you stay tuned. It's Sailing Week, bringing to you the sun, the sea, and the sand on SportsMax.
Well guys, sports tourism, it's growing, it's evolving, and hence why the BTMI has chosen to partner with SportsMax to bring you all of the amazing sporting action happening here in Barbados. This Sailing Week being a part of it. But that's sports tourism, and it's also, I guess, what you consider to be that tourism, you know, the sand and sea and sun of Barbados. So Cece, I guess it's your channel. Tell everybody where we are and what's so special about where we are.
So we're on the south coast of Barbados, Hastings to be exact, on the Richard Haynes Boardwalk. People just call it the Boardwalk. We all know what it means, right? So we come down here and actually, you know, since my son was in a stroller and in arms, a lovely place to bring the family. Just walk along, you can take a nice stroll. I've gotten here early in the morning to do a jog. This classes happen here as well. So, you know, you're talking about sport tourism. I think overall we, the people, we're trying to be healthier and fitter. So the boardwalk is a great place. Free, of course, to come on down for everyone and have a fantastic time here. And like you mentioned, the sun, sea, sand. So you get a little bit of, when you get winded, you can stop and take in the surf and the sights, right? So that's one thing to do here on the boardwalk of Barbados.
You mentioned fitness. How many fitness classes have you taken in on this
I
boardwalk?
have jogged on the boardwalk. Wow. I've done yoga in the gazebo on the boardwalk. I've eaten ice cream on the boardwalk as well.
Counterproductive, but yeah. So in addition to that, funny enough, there's also, I guess, a natural aspect or nature aspect to the boardwalk, because on occasion during nesting season, you can actually find the endangered hawksbill turtles nesting on this very stretch of beach. So honestly, it's a sight to behold to come down at night and you see a couple of people gathering and it's like, what are you looking at? It's a massive turtle just there laying eggs, and you just get to see the little turtles, you know, heading off into the waters, and then also can get, I guess, a better view of other sea and marine life and a few birds as well. So you have that nature aspect, the sports aspect, the sand, sea, sun, relax, and ice cream aspect to this boardwalk as well.
That's my other fun part of this side, the aspect of food, because along the boardwalk you have a lot of bars, you got a lot of restaurants, so you can do everything from like a little fine dining to just put on your flip-flops or your shorts and have a drink, some cocktails, some fish cakes, you know, some good island food as well. So you could just walk and pick a spot or pick all the spots and make a stop all along the way on the boardwalk.
So I haven't brought my flip-flops, I'm more so in a jeans, but let's kind of take a walk along the boardwalk and see what we can explore and maybe, you know,
get something
to
eat.
eat or, you know, yeah, something.
Yeah,
let's go.
Something to drink. Yeah, let's have a little walk. It's Barbados Sailing Week, and we will be right back. Rising from the ocean to welcome the world. This beautiful Caribbean island is one of the gems of the region. Visitors from every corner of the earth continue to ensure it's on their bucket list as a vacation spot. And with so much to do, why not? It's peak season here in the 246, and the tourists continue to flock in from air and sea. Whether you are on the sand, in the water, at the races, maybe you just wish to take a run, race a car, is surfing your thing? Or maybe you simply wish to sit and relax, have a tea, something stronger. Whatever you desire, Barbados sets you up to sit, relax, and enjoy your stay with friends. It's Sailing Week in Barbados, filled with lots of action and excitement. From the junior dinghies to the coastal races, the RC model yachts and kite surfing, all happening on and around the island. And we intend to share these stories with you all. As Peter Ram put it so eloquently a few years ago, from pillar to post, Barbados, good morning. And good morning from us to the world.
Hi everyone, I'm Chelsea Twack down here at Golden Pond in St. Philip for the RC Dragonflight Regatta. We're going to go check out some of the racing, talk to a few competitors. The wind is up and it's a really good day for it. So Tony, you say you've been racing these model boats for the past 30 years. Can you tell me a bit about yourself and what you were racing today?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Tony Gonzalez, and I left Barbados approximately 45 years ago. And about 25 years ago, a very good friend of mine, Peter Rabbit Allen, most people here in Barbados may know him, he had started sailing these model boats, and living in Florida, I heard about it, and then I looked around and I found a club there and I started sailing there. And about 2 years later, me and Peter met by accident, didn't even know he was coming in New Jersey sailing our model boats. Approximately 5 years later, we started racing the International 1 meter, which is a 1 meter long boat, and it sailed all over the world. And me and Peter Allen, we met in San Diego for the US Nationals, and it was my first major regatta that I really went to with that class. And I finished first, Peter Allen finished second. So I get emotional sometimes talking about these things because it's a really good part representing Barbados. And we really had a good time at that regatta, coming in first and second. So the two of us really are the ones that do all the traveling. He does the traveling, meets up with me, and we go around and we represent Barbados sailing these model boats.
That's incredible. And how was the competition today?
Oh, we have some really good sailors here at this pond, and the competition is really good. I believe right now at this particular point, we're not really sure what the scores are because it's a 2-day regatta. But I believe Peter Allen is somewhere in the first place, somewhere in that top 3, you know. But it's been really good. This is a really beautiful location to sail. We're sailing Dragon Force 95s, which is a relatively new class. Peter and myself, about just before COVID-19, we purchased 10 boats and brought them here. And so this was to give much more people an opportunity to come and start to sail this and everything. And you know, we've been doing good, and it's a mission in progress is what it really is.
That's fantastic. Can you tell me a bit about the racing route here at Golden Pond?
Correct. First of all, we do have a start line, 2 marks that we start between. There is a 2-minute countdown tape. You're not allowed to start. At the end of that countdown, you get a start beep, and at that point is where you cross the line. From the start line, we sail to a windward mark, which is up at the windward end of the course, where we have 2 marks. So we do have a windward mark to the right with an offset, and so we go around the windward mark, around the offset, and then it's a downwind with the wind directly behind you. And you'll notice when the boats are sailing where they look like butterflies, where it's wing and wing, and the boats are going downwind. It's very fast pace, and they go down to what we consider a gate, which is 2 marks. and they sail in the middle of the two marks and you come out. So you have a choice when you get there if you want to go left or you want to go right. And then you do that and you come back upwind. We're heading back up to the windward marks. That's where the technical part comes, because sailboats don't sail directly into the wind. They can only sail at angles to the wind. So there's a lot of tacking, a lot of crossing, and there's quite a bit of rules which are really hard to explain now. But at certain tacks, certain boats have right-of-ways and have to give way to others.
Yes, I heard a bit of the chit-chat.
Chit-chat, port, starboard, you know, a lot of people drive. I remember at the beach we were sailing one time and some little kids, Mommy, those people are playing a game. I think it's called starboard. So really funny, you know. But yeah, so we go back up, we do the same thing, and then we come back to the finish line. First boat across the finish line would be the winner. And we use a low point scoring system. So first place gets 1 point. Okay. Second, 2, third, and we go on like that. Although these are little plastic boats, as you want to call them, we sail with the same rules that the big boats and the big boys sail with out there, you know, and that's why you hear a lot of talking. It's a little bit closer, so, you know, it can get very tense. But, you know, people take this, I mean, for me, when I hear that clock go off, you know, it's fun, it's a hobby, but I do take it very seriously, and almost all of these sailors here really do it here, but it's really close racing and it's a lot of fun. It would be really nice for people to come and do this.
So Mark, we were just speaking a moment ago about the challenging wind conditions today. Can you tell us a bit about just the wind and conditions, and if it makes it more challenging for you or more fun?
Well, the more wind, the more action, more fun, more collisions, more talk, and everything happens very quickly. So you have to think fast, you have to know the rules. The rules are quite complicated. I'm only learning the rules now. I've sailed a long time, but not really this way, not competitively. So when you get to a situation which is mostly where the marks are, and you've got about 5 or 6 boats all trying to make the mark at the same time, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things can go wrong. I started sailing in the UK, came to Barbados. It's a perfect place for sailing. And we sailed a 36-foot boat. Now I'm sailing a 36-inch boat. But the action is still good, still the same, but it's not as expensive by any means. So I'm retired. It's a good hobby to have. This particular boat that we're using is international. It's a standard rig, so everybody, you know, whoever comes first wins. There's no handicapping. And there are gentlemen who sail all over America, UK, Canada, France, Italy, all over the place. It's amazing what's happened in the last few years.
Okay, wow. And you'd say the competition today was quite steep?
I think so. We have some very good sailors in Barbados. They grow up with it, start very young, as you probably know. And when I came in, you know, they're miles ahead of me with their experience. So I'm still way behind learning, trying to catch up at this stage, which is good. It's very engaging because it's complicated. You need to know the rules, but there are different levels at which you can compete. You can have fun, ignore the rules, or you can get intense like it does around here.
Yes, I saw the last few races were getting quite intense with the chit chat, and they said it was quite close in the scores. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it comes out at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's tough to keep up. I mean, the lingo is another matter. I mean, I've been here a long time and I should know, but when these guys get going, whoa.
Many years ago, I've been a sailor all my life, big boats and real vessels and so on. And they had a small club in Barbados that started in Graham Hall Swamp. So I went in there one Sunday afternoon, not knowing, I've never seen this before. I said, wow, look at these guys. So I eventually got a boat, and my daughter went to university. She went back to school in the States because her mother's American. And so I got into the sailing with these guys in Graham Hall, and then we moved to Greenland, Big Pond, down to St. Andrew. And so I figured that when I go up to visit my daughter, I would do the American National, I've been there with the big regattas, you know, the American National Championships and so on. And I've subsequently won, I believe it's 4 US national titles. and I was third in the Worlds in 2019, just before COVID. And then myself and Tony, because he's a Bajan, but he migrated to the States when he was young, when he was in his early 20s. So, and I knew him before he migrated, so we were good friends from way back when. And whenever we have an international event, we go together because I'll fly into him and we'll either fly out the connecting flight between us, or we get in his car and drive like we did this last event. He drove me 2,000 miles for 20 hours to nearly Mexico from Florida. And we didn't, these last two regattas were extremely testing, and we didn't do that well. I think I ended up like 10th out of 70 boats or whatever, which is not disgraceful, but still, we're usually top 10, upper top 10 sailors. And then we returned to Florida and did another continental championship there, and I was 15 again out of 72 or whatever. But the two of us have been really successful over the years, you know. I've been doing this for 30 years, so I can sail in anything, whether it's strong, medium, light. I'm probably better than these guys in the super light here because I do a lot of traveling, as I said. So overseas, they don't get this sort of trade winds that we have here, that smoking breeze. Maybe they do in England, but America, only certain parts of America like San Francisco and Corpus Christi, Texas, and stuff like that have good wind. But if you go to New York and the eastern seaboard, Florida, it's usually pretty light air. So that's where I've gotten really good at that.
It's Barbados Sailing Week, and we will be right back.
We now return to highlights of Barbados Sailing Week. Well guys, we were outside and now we're inside of the Barbados Yacht Club, and first on our list is to take you to the captain's briefing, a very important briefing where the captains of the boats will find out about the courses, the instructions, the rules, because hey, we want to make sure everybody's safe and understands what's going to be happening this weekend in the Barbados Sailing Week. And then we also have a chance to talk to the skippers of the boats, those who are going to be navigating onto the waters, handing off some instructions. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. So let's go to that now. Alrighty, so I have the absolute pleasure of being with Katie Campbell, the skipper, the captain of the Panacea. Got that right again, right? Yes. So, Panacea X. Alrighty, so Katie, what feelings do you get right now, just being in Barbados for Sailing Week?
I'm super excited. I've never been to Barbados before at all, let alone for an event. So it's really nice to be in a new country and kind of figuring out how everything works. So far, like the reception by both the cruising club and the yacht club have been amazing. We feel super welcome, and yeah, it's really nice to be in a small event with really enthusiastic participants.
Yeah, so it's been a couple of days since you've been on island so far. What's it been like just being in the Barbados waters and just moving around again?
Moving around is the key word. We're out on a mooring, so we're really getting quite good at beaching our dinghy and figuring out, it's always different when you come to different islands, figuring out where to go to get stuff. We had a problem with our dinghy outboard when we first arrived. It turned out the gas line had collapsed, so we weren't getting fuel to the engine. And right away, a whole bunch of local people jumped in to help us, and someone gave me a ride to 2 different stores to try and find the right parts. And that's been really just amazing. It's been a really good welcome.
Yeah, you've not even gotten into the racing side of things yet. You have a couple stories already, but how long have you been the skipper of the Panacea X?
I got Panacea in October 2021. Sort of the pandemic wasn't really over yet, but I was a bit fed up with sitting at home, and I'd been running a couple programs in the Caribbean before, and I thought, you know, I think we're coming out of this, and maybe now's the time to have my own boat, because before I was chartering race boats and coming down and doing a few events, and then I thought, you know, I can do a full season, I can make this work. So I bought the boat in Croatia over the internet without seeing it. Yeah, I know, it's so scary. It was like online dating. Like, oh, I don't know. I had a friend attend the survey and get it ready to go for me. And he brought it to Malta, where I was able to come in and start the program. So we brought it across through the Med and the Atlantic in January 2022. And then we've done 2 full Caribbean seasons so far, but first time in Barbados.
All right, so obviously you mentioned this is your first time coming for Barbados Sailing Week. What, I guess, are the objectives for your team in this one?
I mean, our first objective is always just to get around safely. Like, don't hit things, end up with the same number of people that you started with. Hopefully everyone's smiling and having a good time. That's really the most important. Ben and I are very competitive, so we like to push the boat and the crew as hard as we can for the conditions that we have. So if yesterday we went out training, we were seeing 30 knots on our wind instruments. We're not putting up a spinnaker in that. You know, a lot of the crew are still learning how to even use a spinnaker, even on a small boat, let alone on a 45-foot boat in open ocean. So we sail pretty conservatively when we need to, and then we push pretty hard when we can. So for this event, we want to experience it and get to know Barbados and start to understand, you know, what tactics work around here. Hopefully that results in really good performance. I hope so, but I'm not going to cry about it if it doesn't. That's okay, as long as everyone's having a good time.
All right, Katie, so you mentioned the spinnaker, and I guess for people in sailing, they know exactly what that is, but for someone like me, who absolutely has no idea, take me through that. Well, what is the spinnaker?
Yeah, the spinnaker is your extra big, extra dangerous sail that you put up for fun because sailors are crazy. So when you turn and go downwind, you put up like the one that looks like a big parachute, the really pretty colorful one in all the photos of sailboats. The problem with the spinnaker is it's not as supported as your other sails that we refer to as your white sails, which are much more attached to the boat. So they're more rigid, they're easier to control, and it's a smaller square footage as well. The spinnaker is huge and loose. So it also introduces like up to 7 extra lines or ropes into the situation. So all of a sudden, it's like all this spaghetti in the cockpit that people have to deal with, and huge loads on the boat as well. So you have to be super careful, and everyone really has to work together like a machine. So everyone on my crew, I really work on training people on processes, and we have trigger words. Like when I say this word, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And everyone has been working this week on learning how to do their job at exactly the right time, so we don't have like chaos with this huge sail. And yeah, so far I'm super proud of them. They did really, really well with training so far.
And my final question for you now, because I can certainly see the love and the passion for sailing on your face in this discussion, but what is the feeling that you get when you're out on the water?
It's definitely a feeling of freedom, that you just have this. It's not really a feeling of control, although hopefully you are in control of the boat and not flying around. It's not so much that, it's this freedom that you're working with the elements and you can kind of make anything happen. So we keep joking that we had a hard time getting here, that our delivery was quite challenging. The boat really just wanted to go to Carriacou. It kept trying to go to Carriacou over and over again. So we keep joking that, you know, every time we're on a downwind run from here, like, we could just keep going and we'll end up in Carriacou. That's what's going to happen. And that's just so cool that you could just skip town and head to a completely different town, completely different island.
All right, so I'm here now with Gus Reeder. Easiest question to start off, Gus. How are you doing today?
Good. Just been working a lot today, getting prepared. Because I have 2 boats to get ready, so just making sure everything is in place so we can get going Saturday morning.
No problem. So you said 2 boats to get ready, so I'll start on that. What are the names of your two boats?
So Glory Days is my J24. She'll be racing on Saturday. And then I have a catamaran called Catalyst, and she'll be racing around Barbados.
Alrighty, so that's the coastal race and then the around Barbados race. What was the difference for you in those two races in terms of preparation?
Well, the J24 racing with Glory Days, that is short course racing. It's inshore, so we're not worried quite so much about the weather and the swell and so on. We're more concerned with wind direction, making sure we've got the right crew and make sure the boat is set up properly, because it's boat for boat racing, no handicap, and they're short races, so you snooze, you lose.
And then now for the around Barbados race, what's the preparation like for that one?
Well, we have to make sure that the boat is clean, the bottom, all the weed is off the bottom. So we'll be scrubbing her tomorrow morning and make sure that it's a longer race. The sea is rougher. There's forecast a fair amount of wind. So we've got to make sure that everything is sound and ready to go. The boat is in good condition, and make sure we have all of our safety gear on board, because we have a crew of 8, so we have to make sure we've got life jackets and that engine's working and everything is ready to go.
Now, I know that you have been involved in sailing in Barbados for many, many years. How proud are you to look and see what Barbados Sailing Week is now in comparison to years before?
Well, I'm very proud of the committee. They've done a fantastic job trying to get the Sailing Week back on its feet after the COVID years. Around the Caribbean and around the world, regattas have shrunk. Number of reasons, we don't need to go into all that now, but there are less boats. And so really proud that we managed to pull this together with support. And we have a reasonable number of boats. We've got a fairly competitive fleet. We have a nice competitive fleet of 5 J24s, 2 teams of youngsters, which is great to see. We need the youngsters coming up. You know, some of us getting long in the tooth, we need the youngsters to come along and take on.
All right, now in terms of Barbados Sailing Week, what is so special about it?
Well, there's several special things. It's based around the Round Barbados race, which has been a tradition since 1936, I believe. It was, Errol Barrow was a Round Barbados racer, founder of the Cruising Club. We have always raced the Round Barbados race since 2010, I believe, on Errol Barrow Day. And so it has a tradition, and it's been done for a long time. The original racers took 24 hours to get around Barbados. A few years ago, we had a trimaran, Miss Barbados, and she did it in 2.5 hours. So that just tells you the range of the speed of sailboats. But it's traditional. The record stands as an international record around Barbados and for various classes. So it has a long history, and we would like to keep it going.
All right, so I want to take you now to the lighter side of things, away from the racing. How did you find yourself being involved in sailing?
I started sailing when I was 11, and I won't tell you how many years ago that was. It was a long time ago. So I was sailing dinghies, and I came up through various dinghies into bigger boats, and had quite a long hiatus from sailing, and then came back to it in the early 2000s with the advent of the J24 class here, which is a small boat, 5 people, but very, very competitive. And that has been great. Unfortunately, the class has sort of shrunk in recent years, but getting some youngsters involved, there's still a few boats around. Hopefully we can build it back up.
Yeah, and finally, what's the feeling that you get when you're out on the water in your boats?
It's an indescribable feeling of a combination of a thrill of the power of the wind versus the power of the sea, and you're trying to use the two of them to produce a result. But you have to respect them at the same time, because they can hurt you, they can break you. So the inshore racing, that's a lot more technical. Round Barbados is a lot more about endurance, picking your course, trying to anticipate what the wind is going to do, what the currents and tides are going to do. You don't want to be caught at East Point with a falling tide, which will just drag you in towards the reef. So they're two different things, but the elements are always there as your friends, because all of our power comes from the wind, and our forward motion comes from the interaction of wind and sea. But the sea is a cruel mistress. You know, you remember the disasters, and I have had a few of them where we've been, especially the J24, we've been swimming off the J24 and hoping to get it back up right. You remember your wins, you try not to remember your losses, but the overriding is a feeling of good camaraderie and competition, and the feeling of oneness with nature.
Highlights of Barbados Sailing Week. We'll be right back.
Here we are, the lovely Carlisle Bay, home of Pebbles Beach. And Joelle, this is a great place to bring the family, the friends, the little ones, or just come by yourself, get an umbrella, get a beach chair, bring your beach blanket, lay out in the sun, listen to the sound of the waves. Or if you're adventurous, a lot of beach activity happens here. You can learn to boogie board, to paddle surf, all sorts of things happening here. So it's a great place to come and check out.
Yeah, you could also catch the horses early on the morning right here, but Cece, do you know that people also propose on this beach? Will you marry me? Is that something you're interested in?
That's not my speed.
Okay. No proposals for Cece, but this beach you can also see some sailing, and that's what we're here to talk about, because just beyond us, the start of the coastal races will be at Needham's Point. It's a place rich and full of history. Let's take you now to Needham's Point.
So we just made the short trip from Pebbles Beach to here, Needham's Point. And Joelle, you did promise a bit of a history lesson.
I did. I'm not a history teacher, but let's try. So Needham's Point is where we are. And back in the 19th century, this actually served as a naval base, a dockyard for the ships. But hey, beyond that, we're actually at Charles Fort. And Charles Fort is the oldest and largest fort in Barbados. These cannons, over 400 years old these serve to protect the island of Barbados. Now, a little further backwards is the lighthouse for Needham's Point. And back in the day, yeah, back in the old times, it served as a guide for ships to find their way safe passage to the shore. So we just wonder, will that lighthouse serve as safe passage for our sailors come the coastal races? Can you just tell us a bit about the partnership between Mount Gay and Barbados Sailing Week?
Regatta is always very close to the heart of Mount Gay. It's over 30 years that we're sponsoring regatta all over the world. We're sponsoring now over 70 in the world. So we're very attached to the sea, we're very attached to sustainability, to marine biology and all that's happened in Barbados. So water being very important. It's important for the composition of our worm, and it's important for the environment. So we pay a lot of attention to the regatta. We're very close, and this year actually we're celebrating the 40 years anniversary of the red cap as well. An iconic red cap, of course, that everyone participating regatta can win. So it's not something that you get easily, you need to win it. So it's 40 years that we are doing that, and it's always a great moment. I mean, for Barbados, it's a moment for every people that love the sea and love sailing and all Barbados and water activities to come together and celebrate the water and the sport, the camaraderie, have some fun. We have some parties, a red cap party. So it's a lot of fun where we celebrate not only the water, we celebrate kiting, we celebrate surfing, we celebrate entertainment, we celebrate fantastic cocktails. So it's a fantastic week of activity, and Mount Gay is very, very happy to be part of it, and we will continue to be.
Yeah, certainly happy to hear that. Of course, there's a lot of history behind Mount Gay and Sailing Week, I guess, all around the world. What are you most looking forward, obviously, as the title sponsor, what are you most looking forward to this weekend?
I'm really looking forward for this event to grow further, so it's become a true calendar year of activity, not only for Barbadian, but for people all over the world. So it is very amazing to see how it has grown over the past few years. And right now, we're just very happy to put it at a global level. And we want to encourage Barbados and Barbadian people and tourists to come to this weekend because it's a fantastic event and it's a beautiful island. So come along.
Yeah, and finally, now on the personal side of things, do you have a favorite event in Sailing Week?
Well, of course, the Red Cat Party, yes. So this is on Harold Baraudet, who is the creator of the Barbados Cruising Club, next door to the Yacht Club here. And that's on the 22nd. It's all day with the obviously famous Monge Round Barbados race that is taking all the boats all around Barbados. And then we finish with the Red Cat Party at 6 p.m. So at the Cruising Club, it's an amazing event and it's going to be lots of fun. So I'm looking forward to the great hotel and I'm sure I will have one with you, Joel, right?
Oh yes, but of course, I must have a glass of beverage afterwards. We now return to highlights of Barbados Sailing Week.